Hey everyone, life has a way of testing us in the most unexpected ways, doesn't it? Someone you once loved, someone who promised they'd never leave, walked away, leaving you in the storm of confusion, heartbreak, and unanswered questions. The silence they left behind feels deafening, and all you can do is replay every memory, wondering if you could have done something differently or if you missed the signs. The toughest part? The nights. Alone with your thoughts, staring at the ceiling, questioning your worth. What went wrong? Was I not enough? Those questions haunt you, stealing bits of your confidence and sense of self. But as time passes, something remarkable happens. You start to heal. Slowly the wounds begin to fade, and you discover strength you didn't know you had. You rebuild yourself piece by piece, and start to remember the person you were before they came into your life. And just as you're beginning to find peace, something unexpected happens. A message, a notification, one simple line, "Hey, how are you?" It's like a bomb going off in your mind. Confusion, anger, maybe even a little hope. Why now? After everything? But here's the harsh truth. Their return isn't about you becoming more valuable to them. It's about them struggling with the consequences of their own choices. They left, thinking it would make them happy. But life often has a way of showing us the value of what we lost. But let's be clear, their return isn't about you. Your worth was never tied to their presence. You were always enough, with or without them. They might stir emotions in you, hope, longing, or even anger. But before you react, ask yourself, what do I truly need right now? What does this mean for me? You've worked so hard to rebuild, to find peace in your own strength. Their return isn't an invitation to undo that progress. It's a test of your boundaries, your growth, and your commitment to protecting your peace. When they left, they made a choice. Now, it's your turn. Do you welcome them back, or do you walk away, knowing your value is not defined by their presence? The choice is yours, and it's not an easy one. But remember, you have come so far. You've healed, you've grown, and now it's time to honor that journey. You deserve a future that reflects your strength, your self-respect, and your worth. So, let's dive deeper into how Stoicism can empower you to navigate this moment with clarity and strength. But first, ask yourself, are you ready to choose yourself above all else? Number 1. They seek emotional refuge in familiarity. When someone who once walked away suddenly returns, it's rarely about how much you mean to them. It's often about their need for emotional refuge. Life has a way of throwing unexpected challenges our way, and when they find themselves caught in an emotional whirlwind, they instinctively seek out what's familiar, what feels safe, you. But here's the catch. This isn't always driven by love or nostalgia. Sometimes it's just a craving for stability. Think about it. When they left, they were chasing excitement, new adventures, or even the illusion of freedom. At first, everything may have seemed thrilling, but eventually, the harsh realities of life set in. Shallow connections, unsatisfied desires, and the weight of their own choices begin to suffocate them. That's when they remember you, not just as a person, but as the sanctuary they left behind. Picture a partner who once dismissed your love, took you for granted, and then returns, claiming to miss you. What they miss might not be you at all. It's the sense of security, the emotional anchor you represented. It's not about rekindling love. It's about finding a place to rest when the storm of their life has left them exhausted. This type of return often speaks more to their unresolved issues than anything else. When things fall apart, people instinctively return to what feels safe, like a moth to a flame. Your emotional strength, your care, and your patience made you their sanctuary. And now, in their moment of weakness, they seek you out. But this is where you need to be cautious. Are they coming back because they truly value you, or are they just looking for somewhere to hide from their chaos? This is a key question you must ask yourself. If their return is merely an escape from their struggles, then you may find yourself reopening old wounds, only for them to leave once things settle. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." You can't control their reasons for coming back, but you can absolutely control how you respond. Protect your peace. Set boundaries. You are not an emotional safety net to be used only when it's convenient for them. You deserve relationships built on mutual respect and genuine love, not ones that only appear when things get tough. When they come knocking, take a moment to evaluate their intentions. Are they here to nurture what you once had, or are they simply looking for shelter from the storm they created? Their return doesn't determine your worth, it reveals their own lack. Let it serve as a reminder of your strength and the love you have to offer, but never let it cost you your peace. You are not here to be someone's emotional fallback. You are your own safe haven. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am my own safe haven, and claim the strength to prioritize your well-being above all. You deserve relationships where your worth is celebrated, not just remembered when they need comfort. Number 2, they can't stand your growth without them. Here's an undeniable truth that many refuse to acknowledge. Some people leave, thinking you'll falter without them. They walk away, fully expecting you to crumble, to be lost without their presence, to fall apart in their absence. But when you don't just survive, you thrive. It shakes them to the core. It's not because they suddenly realize your worth. It's because your growth challenges everything they believed about their role in your life. Their departure was meant to create a vacuum, but you filled it with strength, resilience, and a sense of purpose they never expected. Imagine someone who left thinking they were the key to your happiness. They thought their presence was the glue holding everything together. Then they see you flourishing, excelling at work, enjoying life, smiling in photos, and glowing with a new sense of freedom. Suddenly, the reality hits them. Your world didn't collapse without them. In fact, it's thriving, and that is a hard pill to swallow. Take Sarah, for example. Her partner left, claiming they were holding her back. At first, Sarah was devastated, but as time passed, she rebuilt herself. She secured a promotion, reconnected with old friends, and embraced hobbies that made her feel alive again. Months later, her ex reached out to congratulate her on her success. But as the conversation unfolded, it became clear. Their return wasn't about supporting Sarah's growth. It was about reasserting their relevance in her life. The psychology behind this behavior is fascinating. People who crave control or validation struggle to see others thrive without them. Your growth doesn't just remind them of what they lost, it highlights what they're missing. Their return isn't a celebration of your progress, it's their discomfort with your independence. They can't handle the fact that you're living your life, finding happiness and success without them. Here's the most important lesson: your growth isn't a stage for their insecurities. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Their insecurities, their regrets, their need for validation, these are external forces that you cannot control. What matters is how you've chosen to grow, to rise above, and to create a life that reflects your true worth. When they come back, pause and reflect. Are they here to truly support your progress, or are they just trying to reassert their control? You've worked hard to heal, to rebuild, and to rise. Don't let their return overshadow all the progress you've made. Let their discomfort remind you of your resilience. Their struggle with your growth is their burden to carry, not yours. You are not responsible for their regrets. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose growth, to honor the strength it took to rise, the courage it takes to keep going, and the wisdom to protect the life you've worked so hard to build. Keep thriving. You've earned every bit of it. Number 3. Guilt drags them back. When someone hurts you, the pain doesn't just reside in your heart, it finds its way into theirs too. They may not show it right away, but the weight of their actions begins to wear on them. Guilt, a powerful and relentless force, begins to eat away at them, making them question their choices. Over time, as the emotional chaos settles, they may come to a painful realization about the damage they caused. And that's when they reach out, pulled back into your life by their own discomfort. But here's the catch. Their return isn't about fixing what's broken between you. It's about easing their own guilty conscience. They don't come back to heal you. They come back to heal themselves. Imagine this. Someone who left you without a second thought suddenly reappears, apologizing for the pain they caused. They say, "I've been reflecting on what I did and I'm really sorry." On the surface it seems sincere, but pause for a moment. Is their apology an indication of real change, or is it simply a desperate attempt to lift the heavy burden of guilt they've been carrying? It's easy to feel relief in the face of an apology, but that doesn't always mean they've learned from their mistakes. Often people apologize not because they genuinely want to rebuild, but because they want to rid themselves of the discomfort of their own remorse. Forgiveness is a personal journey, and you can absolutely accept their apology if it brings you the closure you deserve. But remember, forgiveness doesn't automatically mean you open the door to let them back into your life. Just because they feel guilty doesn't mean they've earned the right to return. You don't owe them the space to unburden themselves, especially if their actions haven't changed. What you truly deserve is respect, honesty, and love, not a relationship driven by the weight of someone else's guilt. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My peace is priceless, as a reminder that your emotional well-being is far more valuable than the temporary relief someone else might seek. You fought hard to heal, and now it's time to protect the peace you've built. Let their guilt remain their problem, not yours. Number 4. They miss the comfort of your presence. The absence of someone who once truly mattered has a way of leaving an undeniable void, one that echoes long after they're gone. When you were in their life, they might have failed to recognize the quiet power of your presence. Perhaps they overlooked the way you supported them when they were low, or how you offered a listening ear without judgment. Maybe they didn't fully appreciate the comfort of your touch, the way you stood by them during tough times, or the sense of security your mere presence provided. But now that you're no longer there, all those small, meaningful moments resonate deeply within them. Suddenly, the space you filled is painfully obvious, and no one else seems able to fill it. When they return, it's not always about recognizing the value of you as a person. It's often about seeking the soothing comfort they've lost. Picture this. Someone who once brushed off your affection and took your kindness for granted suddenly reaches out saying, "I've been thinking about you," or "No one has ever cared for me the way you did." While it might sound nice, take a step back and reflect. Is their return truly about valuing you, or is it about yearning for the security and ease your presence provided? Their absence has forced them to confront what they didn't appreciate, but regret alone doesn't equal change. Sometimes people return not because they're ready to give you the love and respect you deserve, but because they miss the comfort you offered. Stoicism teaches us that peace comes from within, not from external validation or the shifting emotions of others. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, if you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it. Understand that their regrets, their longing, their desire to return, these are their burdens, not yours. You were always valuable, They just didn't recognize it in time. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My kindness is strength, to remind yourself that the care you give is a powerful asset, not something to be taken for granted. You deserve someone who sees your worth, not only when you're gone, but every day, in every moment. Don't settle for anything less. Number 5. Unresolved emotions linger like shadows. Emotions have a sneaky way of lingering, like shadows that refuse to fade, even after a relationship has ended. When someone walks away, they don't just leave behind an empty space. They leave unresolved feelings that cling to the air. These emotions don't dissipate on their own. They fester in quiet moments of introspection, growing louder with time. And when the weight of those feelings becomes too much to bear, instead of confronting the mess they've created, they often choose the easier escape, returning to you, hoping you'll somehow make sense of their inner turmoil. Picture this: someone who left, now reappearing with the words, "I don't know what I want, but I miss you." It's a statement that feels like an invitation, but it's really just a manifestation of their confusion, pulling you back into the emotional fog they never resolved. At first, their return might spark a flicker of hope, but soon that hope is weighed down by the heaviness of their emotional chaos. Their lingering feelings are rarely about love or commitment. More often, it's about their inability to move forward, leaving them desperately searching for the comfort they once found in you. When they come back, they bring with them a baggage of uncertainty that risks dragging you back into a cycle of emotional confusion. One minute they're apologetic, longing for connection. The next, they're distant, unsure of what they want. This emotional roller coaster can drain your energy, leaving you questioning yourself and your worth, rather than recognizing the instability in their actions. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This applies perfectly to these moments of indecision. Their return is a challenge, yes, but also an opportunity. It's an opportunity to fortify your boundaries, to protect your peace, and to reaffirm your worth. You don't have to let their unresolved emotions dictate your path. You can use this moment to choose clarity, growth, and the courage to move forward without the burden of their confusion. Ask yourself, are you going to let their indecision pull you back into chaos, or will you stand firm in your own clarity and strength? Their confusion is theirs to sort through, not yours to carry. Your peace is yours to protect. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My peace is non-negotiable, as a reminder that your emotional clarity and self-worth are top priorities. You have the power to let go of uncertainty and create space for relationships that bring stability, not turmoil. Number 6. They rewrite the narrative for themselves. When someone who has hurt you comes back into your life, it's not always about seeking reconciliation or mending the bond. More often than not, their return is about rewriting the narrative they've created for themselves. People aren't comfortable viewing themselves as the villain in their own story, so by reappearing, they attempt to shift the storyline, transforming from the person who caused pain into the one who tried, the one who regrets. It's a way to rewrite history in their favor, so they no longer have to confront their role in your suffering. Imagine this: someone who left without explanation or closure suddenly starts showing up in subtle ways, liking your posts, sending vague "How have you been?" messages, or sharing nostalgic memories. The gesture feels hollow. They don't apologize, they don't address the hurt they caused, and they don't acknowledge the gap they left in your life. What they're doing isn't about healing the relationship, but about easing their own discomfort. They want to paint over their mistakes, creating a version of the past where they didn't hurt you, where their actions were justified, and where you still see them in a positive light. This can leave you feeling torn. On the surface, it looks like care, but when you dig deeper, you realize their return is more about their own emotional needs than yours. They want to soothe their guilt, not genuinely rebuild what was lost. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." True growth comes from meaningful action and accountability, not from superficial gestures designed to create a comforting illusion. Here's the hard truth. You don't owe them the chance to rewrite your story. Your pain, your healing, and your journey are yours to own. You've worked hard to rebuild, and their need for self-assurance doesn't give them the right to alter your truth. If their return is void of genuine effort or accountability, you have every right to close that chapter and move forward. Your peace and progress are more important than any attempt to reshape the past. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My story is mine to tell, to remind yourself that you control the narrative. Your worth is not dependent on their redemption. Keep moving forward with clarity, knowing that you are the author of your own healing. Number 7. Fear of being replaced. When someone who once walked away sees you thriving without them, their insecurity can be triggered in a way they may not even fully understand. For so long, they may have assumed they could leave and return whenever they wanted, believing you would always be there, waiting in the wings for them. But when you start to flourish without their presence, a fear begins to creep in, fear of being replaced, fear of no longer having a place in your life. Suddenly, their absence doesn't seem like a temporary separation, but a potential loss of significance. Picture this. You've moved on, your life is in full bloom, whether through a new relationship, personal accomplishments, or simply finding peace within yourself. Then, out of nowhere, they reappear, sending messages like, "I've been thinking about you," or "I realize now what I had." On the surface, it may sound like an apology, but when you consider the timing, it becomes clear. Their return isn't about mending a broken bond or rekindling love. It's about preserving their place in your world, about preventing themselves from being replaced in your life narrative. Fear of being replaced is a reflection of their ego, not a desire for connection. It's about control, about holding on to a position they assumed would always be theirs, even if they didn't nurture it. Your progress, your happiness, and your ability to move on from them are a direct challenge to their perceived importance. They want to reclaim relevance in your life, not because they want to love you better, but because they fear being forgotten. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This speaks volumes when you consider their return. If their actions are motivated by insecurity and fear rather than genuine love or change, they are not showing up for the right reasons. This is where you have the power. You've worked hard to rebuild your life, to rediscover your worth and joy. Their fear should not be the reason you open the door to the past. Let their return serve as a reminder to assess your progress. Ask yourself, am I allowing their insecurities to disrupt my peace for their comfort? Your happiness is yours to protect. You've earned every bit of it, and no one has the right to diminish the progress you've made. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose my happiness, to reinforce that your joy, growth, and peace are your priority. You are not a temporary fixture in someone else's life. You are the architect of your own story, and it's up to you how you write the next chapter. When they return, it's a reflection of their fear, not your value. Keep moving forward, knowing your worth doesn't depend on their recognition, but on your strength and resilience. Your journey is yours alone.